But but before we go to the actual session, our opening act, we have a couple of Toastmasters who are great storytellers, and they would like to share their short stories with you. And first coming up now is Toastmaster Priya Rathod, who's going to share her story. Priya, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sanjeev. Sanjeev, the time is 2 minutes. Do I get to see the timer cards? And
Yes, you can. So let me just open the timer cards.
sure.
Okay, so we will, yeah, 1 second. I'm just sharing my screen. Just let me know when you can see. Okay, there you go. Is that visible?
Yes, that is visible.
Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. Long, long time ago, somewhere in the 16th century, in the district of Albany, lived one baker, a serenely honest baker, an amazing baker. His breads, his cakes, and his St. Nicholas, those star shaped St. Nicholas cookies, were so popular. People would queue up the entire street to get his cookies. The baker, as I said, was very honest. He would always give people what they paid for, not a penny less and not a cookie less and not a cookie more. One fine day, one fine day, an old woman came into his store, a desperate old woman. She wanted 13 cookies instead of 12, and she requested him, I would like one extra. And he said, after carefully packing 12 cookies, said that you only get what you pay for. She silently got up, kept the cookies, and walked out of the store. After that day, he was cursed. His breads did not raise as much, his cakes were stolen, and it was a time of his misfortune. He remembered the old woman, and then the next day he put up a board outside saying that a dozen in my shop is not 12 but 13. And from that day, his fortunes shone again because he remembered that woman. And he said that it is good to be generous and to reach out to people and give them a little more than expected. It looked like Saint Nicholas from top there in the heaven blessed him. And he felt nice again. Nice, why? Because to him, it meant like, I am helping people in need, giving them more than what they expected, allowing them to get more resources from people who are willing to share. So let me ask you a question. Is there any harm to share? Thank you so much. Over to you, Toastmaster Sanjay.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Priya. Well, next we have distinguished Toastmaster Akshay Singh. Akshay, uh, just just checking. You have the. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, am I audible, visible clearly?
Great, Akshay, over to you.
Good evening to each and every one of you. Today, I want to share with you a story about two friends. Well, earlier they were not friends. One of them had just landed in Mumbai from a train which came all the way from North India. In his dhoti attire, he was looking to find new avenues of work in our city, which is the city of dreams. Eventually, he found a business He was very good at making chais. So he realized that in Mumbai, everywhere people want to have chai, whether be it outside their offices, outside the train stations, be it the outside malls, everyone wants a very hot masala tea. So he decided to put up his stall, and that is how he kept putting up stalls one after the other. Over the years, he became a lot comfortable at this chai stall, and his business has expanded. Soon he met another member from his hometown or the village, Sham. Now, Sham was a bit not being there in one place. So he decided to opt for different things. He started with different stores around the city, having different variety of food, maybe samosas, maybe jalebis, and he started to keep doing this. As time went by, he realized that one store works very good in a locality, which is vada pav maybe outside the station, jalebis outside the schools, samosas outside the offices. So he decided to place his stores strategically across the city as per the location. And then he found different avenues to expand his business. Over time, Ram, who was selling the cutting chais, was prospering. But as time went by, it was Sham who was soaring higher. Eventually, one day decided to meet, and while sharing their stories or sharing their experiences, they decided to hit off with a different entrepreneurial idea. They decided to club their two stores together and see what will happen. And that's when real magic happened. Because it's often Ram, as we see, he was in a comfort zone. He knew how to make chai, he's decided to sell that. Shyam, on the other hand, tried to experiment as per the city, as per the location. He kept looking for different opportunities around, and that's what helped him really be or really grow. So always remember in life, you have to find different opportunities to explore yourself. But find that comfort zone within those opportunities because each opportunity, if you have not explored fully and you have not found your comfort zone, means you have utilized the opportunity only half the way. So from Ram and Sham, we all should learn that it is good to explore opportunities, but also good to find a balance of comfort zone and then lead your way because that's the path to success. Hope we all will follow Ram and Sham's journey and find the balance between your comfort zone and opportunities. Back to Sanjeev.
Thank you so much, DTM Akshay. I haven't had my dinner, so hearing about bakers, bread, jalebi, vada pav, samosa, chai is actually making me very hungry. But when I was listening to the stories, I just realized Toastmaster Priya spoke about bread and bakery, and Toastmaster Akshay started with chai, and I was like, where is this heading? And the icing on the cake was that one mention of vada pav. Well, now let's move on to our session for today. Our session for today is focused on table topics. And for that, before we move on to the session, let me introduce him. He just didn't fail, but he failed miserably as a public speaker. He tried to make up in educational qualifications what he lacked in communication. So he became a chartered accountant, a cost accountant, a certified public accountant, a certified internal auditor, etc., etc., etc. After 2+ decades in the corporate sector, he switched to personal development and academics. He is a human potential consultant with Proctor Gallagher Institute, USA, and helps people transform their lives. He is also a faculty at Christ University teaching CPA and CFA courses. Please put your hands together and please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Mathew Verghese.
In public speaking, words must not be counted. In fact, words must be weighed. Unlike what Priya Rathod said, a baker's dozen may have 13 that may be good for the customer, but when you're a speaker, the lesser words you use to convey more, the more your audience is at a benefit. So short, succinct speeches are stupendous. They could be the game changer. Now, for understanding this, let me take you back to 1863. There was the American Civil War, lots of casualties. And there was an occasion for dedicating the battlefield, which was called Gettysburg. Now, there was the Secretary of State, who was a great orator. He was the chief guest for the occasion, and he gave a speech that lasted for 2 hours. 13,607 words were the number of words that he spoke. After him came Abraham Lincoln, who spoke just 272 words, just 2 minutes. Now draw a comparison. 2 hours, 2 minutes, 13,607 words versus 272 words. But if you look back in history, and for all of us who are students of public speaking, if there is one reference speech that most public speakers go back to, it's the Gettysburg Address of Abraham Lincoln. It's a speech that is worth memorizing. And that has gone down in the annals of history as being one of the top-notch speeches that people look back at. If you haven't heard it, if you haven't read it, I would recommend that you go back and look at it. It's a masterpiece. So that proves my point, which says that it's not the number of words, but it is the weight of the words that you are able to carry that's going to be leaving an indelible mark in the minds and hearts of your audience. No wonder why Toastmasters considers table topic session a little session wherein you need to speak for just 1 to 2 minutes and put forth your point. Now, if that's the case, let's first try and understand, let's analyze what are the benefits of Toastmasters. Let me take you to one of the meetings. My friend and I were sitting in a meeting when the Toastmaster of the day called out, the table topic master called out and gave a topic which said, your most exotic holiday. My friend was called up to speak. He went to the stage, and this is what he said. Last May, I traveled to this place. There was trees of green, red roses too, skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed days, dark sacred nights. And we were there camping in the backdrop of the mountains. We were all one with nature. And the place, my dear friends, is Belgium. He came back and sat next to me, and I said, bro, I never heard that you went to Belgium last May. He said, actually, I didn't go to Belgium. I went to a remote village in a place called Belgaum. I said, then you said you were one with nature? He said, the toilets out there were dysfunctional. And that's why we were one with nature. Now, that's one of the advantages of table topics. You can go out and lie with confidence. You can let your imagination run wild. Now, what is the second advantage? For those who are married and listening to this session, you know the advantages of table topics, coming up with the right word at the right time. So I'm not going to elaborate much on that. And for those who are not yet married, I'll let you uncover the suspense on your own. Now, the third advantage of being able to speak on your feet, as Srini said, it was impromptu speaking, is that you and I will be able to have an edge, be it in our company meetings, presentations, seminars, or just meeting somebody in the lift or in your community. The ability to find the right word for the right occasion is something we can't put a price tag to. It's priceless. So all of these skills is something that we can hone at our Toastmasters meeting and be able to take it out to the world at large whenever we require it. Now, having seen the advantages of table topics, let's try and understand what is it that you and I need to possess in order to be able to come up with great speeches in that 1 or 2 minutes. You just heard Priya and Akshay talk about their little stories in 2 minutes. Very powerful, very effective. Now, what are the prerequisites in order to be able to come up with those kinds of speeches? Is it mindset or is it skill set? Now, if you were to ask me, I believe that first of all, we need to have that kind of a mindset, and the skill set is something that we can develop eventually. Now, when we talk of mindset, it's about our thinking, because you and I are products of our thinking. So if we want to be good public speakers, good at table topics, then we need to cultivate that kind of a thinking wherein we do not sabotage our own self by saying, I'm not good at this. I can't do it as good as she does. I can't do it as good as he does. It was Walter D. Wintle who once said, if you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win, but you think you can't, it's quite certain you won't. If you think you lose, you're lost. For out in the world, we find that people who have a strong mindset are the ones that really win. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to stand up and show up in order to be able to get the prize. Because he says life's battle does not always go to the strongest or the fastest man, but sooner or later, the person who wins is the person who thinks he can. And I think he has summed up that beautifully. Because as public speakers, as somebody who wants to excel in table topics, it all begins in our mind. If we think we are beaten, then it's gone. It's end of the story. So the first thing is about mindset. And that's something we need to be cognizant about. How are you and I developing the mindset to be better public speakers? Showing up at Toastmasters is one thing, but being able to deliver outside of Toastmasters is a completely different ballgame. And I think that's where mindset comes into play. Allow me to delve down a little deeper into mindset. Well, when I talk of mindset, I want to talk about the A, B, and C. The A is attitude. Now, what is attitude? Attitude is your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. Now, think of it. If you go to a table topic session, and if you're called out and you say, you know what, I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I'm new to Toastmasters. I'm just trying. I'm not able to gather my thoughts. It means that's going to set you back. So if you think you can't, you won't feel good about yourself standing in front of public. And if you don't feel good about standing in front of someone, you're not going to take the action. And therefore, you're going to maintain your status quo. Like Akshay said, you need to get out of your comfort zone. And what he was referring to, in a way, was attitude. Having the attitude like Ram and Sham to go out and try something new. So the first thing is attitude. The second thing is belief. It was Napoleon Hill who said, no one is ready for a thing unless he believes he or she can get it. The state of mind must be one of belief. Not just mere wishing or hoping, but believing that you and I can get it. So when you have the right attitude, when you and I have the belief system which says that we can get better at this craft, then eventually we will get the C of it, which is confidence. Now, confidence only in the right amount. Because if you have too much confidence, someone said, if you have too much confidence, you will think you don't need to learn. If you have too little confidence, you will think you cannot learn. So too high confidence, too low confidence, both are equally not advisable. The right amount of confidence that will push you to take things up and then get better from there. So the first point, I think, when we talk of mindset is the A, B, and C, which is attitude, belief, and the confidence. Now let's go to the next step or the next prerequisite. And I call this, don't let your past affect your future. I grew up in Mumbai. At the age of 14, I was pushed on stage for an elocution competition. I won the first prize. After that, I got pushed the second time. I failed miserably. I danced more and spoke less. Nervousness got the better of me. In my third speech, I blanked out halfway through. In my fourth, I barely started and I forgot my lines. I went to my dad and I told him, Dad, I'm never, ever going to speak again. And for the next 25 years, I did not get on stage because that gave me kind of a trauma. It gave me a kind of a wound which was so deep that I just couldn't get away from that scar. I was 39 when I had to make a presentation to the board of directors about an audit report that I had written, me and my team had written. I blanked out because when I stood to speak in front of them, all those old memories came gushing in. And I said, I can't do this. I sat down and my boss took over from where I left and he completed the presentation. Never felt so bad in my life as I felt that day. And that's when I thought I need to do something about my communication skills. And I joined Toastmasters. That very event was what resulted in me looking out for a platform where I could go and practice my speaking. So don't let your past affect your future. If you haven't spoken during your school days, if you haven't spoken during your college days, if you haven't had the opportunities that many of the other people around you have, doesn't matter. Don't let your past affect your future. You can start right here, right now, and take it up from wherever you are to make a good speaker out of yourself. The third point, or the third prerequisite, is your willingness to fail. You're never, ever going to come out with a perfect table topic. That's a given. And we don't need to, because there is no such thing as a perfect speech. So go out there, be willing to fail, experiment, explore. At the end of the day, it may work in your favor. If not, give a pat on your back that at least you had the courage to be able to go and stand there and speak. So being willing to fail is another prerequisite that you and I require to have so that we can upgrade and upskill our speaking capabilities. And the fourth one, which I believe is very important. Now, let me put forth this question to you, my dear listeners. Imagine you're in your office. You're at the photocopier. On one hand, you have a cup that's full of coffee, and you take the photocopy and you're rushing back to your desk. Just then, there's somebody else who comes and boom. The coffee spills all over you, and you are now in a bad mood. My question is, why do you think the coffee spilled? Anyone?
Sir, in fact, the spilling of the coffee is good luck. It brings in money. So therefore, a coffee falling on the body, tea falling off, or even if pigeon and crow shit on you, it is good luck. Because that is the best way to see it. You see it any other way, you'll get angry.
Perfect, sir. I would have loved to take that answer, but unfortunately, I am a professor at a college. So if you were to answer that question on the answer sheet, I would have to unfortunately give you a big 0 and say, thank you very much. I'm looking for a different answer, but I really appreciate your answer. Thank you very much. Apart from good luck, my question is, why did the coffee spill?
Maybe because the employee was in hurry.
Sorry?
Maybe because the person was in hurry.
Person was in hurry. Yes, that's a good answer. So it's a good omen. I take that. The person was in hurry. Good answer. Good attempt. Yes. Any
Sir,
other
accidents
answer?
will always
Girija
happen.
here. There is coffee in the cup. That is why it spills.
Brilliant. That's the answer. See, if there was coffee in the cup, that's going to spill. If it's going to be tea in the cup, the tea would have spilled. If it was milkshake, it would have been the milkshake that had spilled. So whether it's a good omen or whether it's people are in a hurry, what's going to be in the cup that's what's going to spill. And when it applies to table topics, it's very similar to that. When you go out and you stand to take a topic, all that's going to come out of you is what is already inside of you. So one of the prerequisites, which I think is the most important, is, as Girija said, fill the cup with what it is that you want to spill at the time you are called upon to speak. Fill the cup. Now, you have stories around you. You have anecdotes around you. You have acronyms. You can come up with experiences. All of this are there. But if you are able to internalize them and keep them in your repository, it means your cup is full. Tomorrow, when you are asked to speak about something, if your cup is full, you can go out and spill what is in your cup. But imagine if your cup is empty, you would be standing there in want of words. What am I going to speak? I have no idea about this. I have never thought about what has happened in my life, what has transpired in my life that I could relate to this particular story or this particular quote. So if you want to be a good table topic speaker, or a good public speaker, I think the underlying requirement or requisite is that we fill the cup. Now, how do we fill the cup? One way is by reading. The other way is by interacting with other people, getting more experiences, going out and talking to people who have been there, seen that, done it. And that way you fill the cup. And then you're never at a want of, what am I going to say? Because your cup is full. So fill the cup. And the last point or the last prerequisite is this. When you take a table topics or when you do something impromptu, you are never wrong. Let me take you back to another instance that I experienced in one of the club meetings. The guest had come in. It was his very first meeting. And like many a times, table topic master will look out and say, can I have a guest, please? Anyone here? And this boy raised his hands. He was called on the stage and the table topic master read this topic for him. Kissing theory goodbye. She repeated the topic, kissing theory goodbye. He took a while to answer, but once he started, he latched on to the first word. And he said, in India, we kiss a lot. First, the grandparents kiss the children. And then the parents kiss the children. And then we become teenagers and we carry it forward. And he said something on those lines and he continued sticking on to his speech onto that very first word. Now, if you literally think of what he said, he took the topic quite literally, because he kissed the other two words goodbye. He kissed the word theory goodbye and said, I'm going to speak only on kissing. Now, what the table topic master would have expected him to speak was this. We talk a lot about theories, but theories are good for academics. What we require is to get our hands and feet dirty and go and try things that we have never tried before. Get out of the comfort zone, bid theory goodbye, kiss it goodbye, and go and do the things that you are supposed to do. But our speaker, he just kissed the word theory goodbye and latched onto the first word. And there was nothing wrong in that. So you see, when it comes to table topics, you are never, ever wrong. So just to recap the 5 prerequisites. Number 1, it's all about mindset. Number 2, don't let your past sabotage your future. Number 3, be willing to fail. 4, fill the cup. And finally, you are never wrong. Now, we know the importance of table topics, like we have covered it earlier. We know what the prerequisites are. Now, let's go to the next segment or the next part, which is how do you and I take table topics when we are called to take table topics on stage? Imagine you could be doing it at your club. You could be doing it in a contest. You may have gone through various levels and you may be at the district finals. How do you and I address table topics when it comes to the big stage in front of an audience which is 300, 400 or even more? How do you do that? Well, these are a few of my learnings after having been there a couple of times. Number 1, be in the moment. As difficult as it may sound, because when you're going for a table topic, more often than not, what's playing in your head is, okay, if he's going to give me a topic of success, this is the story. If it's going to be on gratitude, this is what I'm going to say. And then you're thinking about these various things, and then you get a topic which is totally unrelated, and then the processing takes a little more time. So what I've come to understand from my personal experience is, to the extent possible, if you're able to do something to be in the moment, it could be great. What I do is I try to focus on my breathing, deep breaths. And I say, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm able to breathe today. And taking those deep breaths helps me be completely cut off from what is it I'm going to experience. Whatever it is, I'm willing to experience it as it comes. Why cross the bridge before we reach there? So deep breaths. The other technique could be, think of 2 friends, Sheila and let's say Sheena. Now, Sheila is somebody who needs a lot of things all the time. And Sheena is somebody who leads from the front. So just imagine trying to say this on and off whenever you are getting on stage. Sheila needs, Sheena leads. I know it's a tongue twister, but if you could just try that. Sheila needs, Sheena leads. Sheila needs, Sheena leads. You have nothing else to think about when it comes to your head. You're so caught up in trying to memorize or trying to say these things that you are in the moment. Or like that saying, something like 5 fuzzy frogs frolicked in the fields of France. If you try to do, I'm trying to say that you could come up with whatever is best suited to you. And you could try and implement that when you're going on stage. So the first thing is be in the moment, because you are able to give your best. Your thinking becomes more clearer when you are in the moment. That's the first thing. The second one is suspend disbelief. Will I be able to answer well? Or what's going to be the topic? How did the person before me answer? Suspend disbelief for a moment. Don't tell yourself, I'm not good enough. I just did my previous table topic in my club miserably. Suspend disbelief, which means it was Richard Bach who once said, when you reach the edge of all the light you have and step into the darkness of the unknown, you must believe that one of the two things will happen. Either you will find something solid to step on, or you will be taught to fly. So just let go at that moment. Suspend disbelief and take the topic as it comes. I remember the time when once I tried bungee jumping. I went up to the platform and the person said, 4, 3, 2, at the count of 1, you let go. And I'm all set there, 4, 3, 2. I just couldn't let go. He did it twice. I started singing the song, I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky, the R. Kelly famous song. He said it again. I still didn't budge. I said, try it once more. He did that again, and I do not know whether he kicked me or pushed me, but I was off the platform. And when you just hit down, you hit the rope and then you're pulled up a little and you're suspended upside down. I can't explain that feeling. It's wonderful. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to tell you that if you try table topics, it's like being suspended upside down. No, far from it. All I'm trying to tell you is the feeling that you get once you have tried a table topic is something wonderful. Whether it goes right or wrong is secondary. The very fact that you have tried is something that you need to be proud about. So the first point was be in the moment. The second one was suspend disbelief. And now I come to the third point, which is listen intently. I used to be in the Gulf, and it was one of those meetings when a friend of mine had made it to, I think, the area contest. And this was the topic. The topic was about women being better drivers. So he went on stage, heard the topic, and then he started speaking. You have European women, you have Asian women, you have American women. And he said, European women, they are quite bold. They have a different mindset. And he said a lot of things about them. And I'm wondering, why is he bringing European women into the picture? And he concluded, Saifo, I lay my point, European women are better drivers. He came back and he took his seat beside me. And I tried to ask him, why European women? He said that was what the topic was. Now, the person who read the topic read it this way. And sometimes the people abroad could have a little accent. So he said, your opinion, women are better drivers. Your opinion, my friend heard it as European women are better drivers. Poor fellow went all the way on another tangent and tried to bring in European women. And he started praising European women and laid his case saying European women are better drivers. Well, why go abroad? Very recently, I was at the district finals. And the topic given to me was this. Deadlines are negative inspiration. Now, in that moment, my mind suddenly went to the jungle and I heard it as dead lions are negative inspiration. And then I thought, that's right, because even if a dog is alive, that dog is more inspiring than a lion, king of the jungle, who's no longer there. Now, all this processing is happening in 1 second, you see, and your mind takes you to the jungle, it takes you to a dog, because I had read somewhere, A live dog is better than a dead lion. But fortunately for me, I didn't speak on dead lions. I spoke on deadlines. And I said, deadlines are negative inspiration. So you see, sometimes some words, if you don't hear them carefully, you would be speaking about dead lions and saying, lion is the king of the jungle, but once he is dead, then he is no good. But a live dog is still alive and kicking. And imagine if all the 8 other contestants speak on deadlines and you're the only odd man out speaking about lions and jungles. How bad would you feel after everything is done and dusted? So the third point is listen intently. Every word, you need to latch on to every word that the table topic master is saying so that you're able to come up with your best interpretation of whatever they're trying to say. So the first one was be in the moment. Second, suspend disbelief. The third one was listen intently. And the fourth point, which is my last point, is accept. It was Michael Beckwith who once said, whatever happens in your life, there is a 3-step formula to address it. 1, accept it. Either it will control you or you will control it. So just accept it, because if you don't accept it, then that particular event or instance will start controlling you. So accept it. Second, he says, harvest the good. There is good in everything. You need to be able to harvest. Look at the good in everything that happens. And the third thing, forgive the rest. So Michael Beckwith says, if you're able to follow this 3-step formula, you will be able to go through anything that is thrown at you. And I think that applies to table topics. When you go and take a speech, sometimes it may go well, sometimes it may not go in your favor. Accept it. Harvest the good. The good is that you were at least able to show up and give your point of view, irrespective of how you interpreted it. And third, don't beat yourself. Forgive yourself. Forgive everything else, because tomorrow is a new day and you have another opportunity to get on stage. So the four important things that you and I need to remember when we are on stage is this: be in the moment. Second, suspend disbelief. Take it up as it comes. Third, listen intently. And fourth, as I just said, it may go wrong, accept it. Now, when you know the importance of table topics, when you know what the prerequisites are, like filling the cup and all the other things that we talked about, when you know what you need to do at that point in time, now you may be thinking, are there any techniques how you could address a topic? Well, I would go back to that single point where I mentioned fill your cup. But in case you want a few more techniques, these are a couple of them. Number one, you could think about the past, present, and future. For example, today, Akshay Singh gave us a topic about Ram and Shyam, about how somebody came from a place and then they settled in Mumbai and they experienced something and they became a big brand when they collaborated together. So he talked about the past, what they did, and then what the future is going to be. That is one way to look at it. Or you could also look at that same story that he said in another template, which is then, now, and how. When Ram and Shyam came to Bombay, they had no idea what they are going to do. They started with brainstorming. Somebody started with a little chai stall. Then they went into vada paos and bakarwadi and all those things. And today they are a big brand after they collaborated. So what they were then, nothing. What they are today is something big. And how did they do that? They got out of their comfort zone. So you see the template that he has used, then, now, how. Even Priyanka used a template, right? If you think about it, that there was something happening in the past where this baker was really honest. He had a past, and then he went through a debacle. And then the curse of that lady who came and said, you did not give me, and now your business is going to fail. He was affected by that curse, but then he came out, he introspected, he came out and said, now a baker's dozen is no longer 12, it's going to be 13. And how he came out, that was a template about if you're stuck in a problem, find a solution rather than just bragging about where you are. Or you could use the 5 W's, 1 H, where, what, when, which, how, those kinds of things which you are already aware of. Or you could just simply say a story and come up with a point. Story, say a story, make a point. So if you want to try table topics, there are various techniques. Now, techniques, in my opinion, are secondary. Because at that point in time, when you're listening to a table topic, it's very difficult for you to think about a technique and say, I'm going to use this technique. Techniques are good for the back office. Let them stay at the back of your mind. But what you require at the front end is those stories, those anecdotes, those experiences. And that will come when you fill your cup. So just to sum up all that I said now was there are prerequisites. First of all, we established the fact that you don't need to give a 2-hour speech. Your 2-hour speech could be forgotten and out in oblivion if you do not phrase it well. But a 272-word speech of 2 minutes of Abraham Lincoln, the Gettysburg Address, is today a masterpiece. So there are prerequisites. There are things that you and I need to do in order to be able to come out with a great table topic when we are on stage. And there are techniques. When you combine all of this together, my hope for you is that you will be able to go on the stage the next time and have a blast by giving an excellent message and leaving an indelible mark in the hearts and minds of your audience. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Matthew. That was amazing. A different perspective to table topics and how to approach it. Uh, we'll open it up for questions right now. So anybody has any questions, anything they'd like to share, please unmute yourself and go ahead, or you can raise your hand. I see one hand raised. Yes, perfect. Please go ahead. Uh, Kritik, you can ask your question. Okay, Sagal, please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, Sagal.
Yeah, one thing which I want to know is once you're given a topic in impromptu speaking, is
Sir,
it
we can hardly understand you.
once you're given a topic in impromptu speaking, is it necessary to thank for the topic being given to you before starting the speech? This
Okay.
is something which I want.
Yeah, so Saral, I would think not required. Now, in Toastmasters, there is a protocol of addressing the table topic master, but you do not need to start with it. Now, think of it. No sooner you give me a topic, if I'm going to come and say, thank you very much for a topic, I'm the first time I'm taking a table topics, what you're doing is you're getting rid of 5 to 7 seconds, which are very precious. But if a topic is given to you, let's say, give me a topic. I mean, I do not know. Which one would you give me? Any other topic? Honesty is the best policy. Let's say honesty is the best policy. Now, if I, instead of saying, oh, I'm so grateful to you that you gave me this topic, this is so relevant for today's time when we look around, rather than that, if I'm able to start straight and dive into the topic and say, today we are experiencing so much that happens around us. Not everything is of a nature where we can really stand upon. People are compromising on their values. And I believe that honesty is the best policy. So if you start in that way and then address the table topic master somewhere in the middle, you're doing two things. Number one, you're also starting on a high note and you're also following the protocol of addressing the table topic master. So you don't have to address, but I would recommend that you address. So that's what I do. When I'm given a table topic, I never start by saying thank you, good evening. I start by something about the topic, and in my way, after 2 or 3 or 4 sentences, I would say table topic masters, fellow Toastmasters and guests, and continue with the topic. So when you insert your salutation somewhere in the middle, you do not lose the rhythm. It just flows. Otherwise, see, you need to take that initial instance of being able to think, right? Now, when you start saying this and that, the chain could be lost. That's what I'm trying to say. There's nothing wrong in doing it, but you have only 2 minutes. Come, 1.5 to 2 minutes. Why waste 10 to 15 seconds on saying all these banalities which are not going to count?
Thank you.
Welcome.
You can unmute yourself.
Yes, Parul, you can go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Matthew, for such a wonderful, informative, session on this, how we can attempt table topics. So my question is, when we are lacking in the resources or the content for the table topics, because on the spot we have to speak.
Yes.
So, what is your recommendation? Since I believe you are in teaching background, so you might be getting more opportunity compared to when we are in corporate, to interact with more in more public speaking or something. So, what is your inputs for that, or how we can prepare ourselves with more content?
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I don't, I used to be in the corporate for 25 years before I switched into academics. Now, when it comes to academics, again, you're teaching the subject. So you get an opportunity to talk about the subject. But table topics is a completely different ball game. I cannot as much go into my class and talk to people as I would have wanted to about topics on motivation and things. So yes, I agree with your point that I get opportunities to speak, but table topics I still believe is a different genre. And what you could do in order to improve, first fill the cup. Try and read as much as possible. I see that you're walking in the beautiful streets of Bombay somewhere. I can see nice, beautiful sky and there's a light. Now, if you just take anything that's beside you, let's say you look at the light and you say, you know what if I have to speak about the lights today? The lights and how it's going to benefit the people around you. What you're just going to say is, you could take any story and link it to that and get your mind, your creative juices thinking about what you could talk about light. Or you could take any other object. Maybe you're walking with somebody and you could say, companionship and collaboration is so wonderful that we can do so many things. So there is topics everywhere around us. If you just put your mind and say, what if I had got this topic and if I were to speak about this for 2 minutes, what would I do? So in that way, your mind is thinking about topics. You don't have to wait for a corporate event or for an academic event to be able to speak. When you're driving your car and if you're in the sanctuary of traffic, like I'm in Bangalore currently, so sometimes we spend hours in the sanctuary of traffic. You could either curse the person ahead of you, or you could just sing, or you could just look around and say, what a wonderful place still to be alive, and create a little speech about that. So the benefits of walking, now I can see you walking, you're sweating it out. The benefit of walking, 30 minutes of walking a day will help you burn your calories, and that's how Parul is fit as a fiddle. So there are topics everywhere. It's just to you to get attuned to those things and start thinking on that. So then when the occasion comes, you are like ever ready battery. Parul, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. I can understood. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, my question is simple. We all talk about being a table topic master, and you talk about being a table topic master. So whenever I be a table topic master, I don't know how to bring back the energy in the room, because we all met with the prepared speeches and people are very quiet and they are all thinking about prepared. Being a table topic master, we being playing at 100%, how do we bring back the energy in the room with a smile or a laugh all around the club members? That's what my question.
You see that now if table topics, I think, is the most fun element in a speech. So if somebody has given a rocking speech, when you come up with topics, you can think about different ways of doing it. Now, table topic need not necessarily be the old of the regular ones wherein you give a topic and send somebody to speak. You could make it interesting by bringing a bag full of different things. For example, you bring a spoon, you bring a fork, you bring a plate, and you say, I'm going to bring somebody up on stage and say, pick something up from this, and whatever this represents, speak. You've just brought a different element to it. You've got to be innovative with that. Sometimes you can just put some characters on the screen and tell them, speak on these. Or bring two unrelated people. For example, you bring somebody from He-Man or a Batman, and then bring somebody from Indian cartoon character and say, what would have happened if this person played this? So you got to be a little more creative and come up with different kinds of things. Or you could say, let's stitch a story. The first 2 minutes will be spoken by Parul, and then the next 2 minutes would be going to, let's say, Sharmin, and then the next could go to Sanjeev. And you can, so there are various ingredients that you could bring in so that you could make it more interesting. And next thing is, you don't say that you are boring. You bring in the energy, because when a person comes on stage, that person has to feel energized. If that person comes and say, today we are going to do topic master one, then the entire energy will, however good your topic is, the energy will go. So just like you're smiling now, you're full of energy, you're smiling. If you just come with this smile and just stand there, you have raised the energy of the room. You don't need to do anything more. And then say, today we are going to have a fun session, friends. I've come up with something excellent. We're going to try something different. And when you raise your voice, and when that voice, you modulate your voice, the energy in the room is going to change. So just keep trying that, Sai. I'm sure. Don't go with the mindset that people are feeling bored. People are feeling interested, because everything is in mindset. When you think it's interesting, it will be interesting for everyone else. All the best for your next Table Topic Masters session.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Shaman, you can go ahead with your question.
My question is, you said your cup should be full. We should enhance our knowledge. But sometimes it happens that we don't have much to speak about that topic, or we don't know much about that topic. So in that case, how should we handle table topic, or at least we should be able to speak for at least 1.5 to 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question, Shaman. Now, sometimes what happens is, more often than not, in a table topics or in a Toastmasters meeting, especially if you go to a contest level, they will never, in a club, maybe they'll give you a little tougher question, because that's just to test your mettle, because you're practicing, that's your net practice. So sometimes table topic masters may bring a little tougher topic, but when you go to a contest level, the topics are very generic. So if the topic, now when you go back after you've listened to a table topic, if you go back and you think that it was out of syllabus, then don't beat yourself down. But if it was a very simple topic, for example, honesty, or if it was something about integrity, if he came and told you, if you don't stand for something, you could fall for anything. Now that's a very simple topic to speak about integrity, but at that moment, maybe sometimes we get overwhelmed and we may not be able to connect the dots. And that with practice, you would be able to do it. So I think is taking the stage as many times as possible and telling yourself, you know what, I'm going to crack this table topic the next time. And if you crack it, good. If you don't crack it, come back again the next time, because you have to harvest the good in it. Because every time you take stage, I believe a chunk of fear is slowly disappearing and courage is slowly showing up. Now, Mary Ann Radmachar had said, courage is not that loud voice that goes and screams, but sometimes courage could be that little voice which says, I will come again the next time. So Sharman, keep trying that. I'm sure, with time, you will be able to be a little more calm, be in the moment. Then whatever topic you get, speak on that. And if you don't get a topic which is of your liking, let's say they tell you to say something about GST and you have no idea of GST, you could say, look, the topic given to me is something I do not understand, but let me tell you something that I do. I'm a homeopathy doctor, and I would like to tell you a few tips that you could do about. So you could take the topic in your direction, because you've got stage time and the table topic master has given you something which you absolutely know nothing about. Why should you take the blame for that? You say, I do not know what GST is, but I'm going to tell you 3 things that you could do for enhancing your life. Because when you get stage time, you don't lose it. You go and give them an advice and go ahead. I hope that is clear, Sharman, to some extent.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, Lakshmi, we have time for one.
Hello. So my question is how to include voice modulation while you're delivering your table topic.
See, more often than not, sorry, I didn't get your name. Lakshmi, is it? Lakshi. See, Lakshi, when you come out and you give a speech, if that speech is something about an experience that you have gone through, more often than not, the emotions of you going through that experience are already recorded in your body. So, for example, if you go out and if you're going to say, I met somebody in my class yesterday, that student had just come out of a great accident. Now I feel bad for that student. I wish I could be in that position where I could be able to help him, but I'm not able to do it. You see, when you go through the emotions, when you don't just say what you're saying, so don't I'll put it this way, in a very simple way. Don't retell a story, relive the story. When you relive the story, things are going to be very different. I grew up in Bombay. I lived all my life in Bombay. I used to take the train from Santa Cruz all the way to Churchgate. If you tell me to tell an experience of what happened to me when I was going by train, I would be able to bring out a lot of animation. And that's not rehearsed. It just happens because I have gone through that. And my voice would go up and down. Sometimes I would go really fast, and when I'm excited, like a fast train, sometimes I could go really slow. So depending on what story you're saying, try to relive that moment. When you relive that moment, the voice modulation, the body language, the gestures, all those things will be more automated rather than rehearsed. And you would sound and feel a little more natural rather than animated. So the key here is don't retell, relive whatever the anecdote is, or try to think about the other person who went through that, the emotions that person may have gone through it. And when you do that, all these things will be taken care of. I hope I answered your question, Lakshi.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, everyone. One last thing we have on the chat. What is the most creative way in table
Anji, can you repeat that?
What is the most creative way of conducting table topics master's role that you would have experienced or delivered?
Yeah, there are various things that I could list here. Like I mentioned to Sai, there are people who bring in objects in a bag, and they would tell us to remove the object, take out an object, and then speak about that object. Sometimes they tell us to connect 2 or 3 things or words. They would just put the words on the screen and say, if you were to speak on these 3 topics together, for example, one could be integrity, the other could be sports, and the third one could be, hallucination. Very weird words, a combination. Again, that sends your thinking on a different trip. Or it could also, I've also seen people put in different characters. Then I've also experienced people giving a topic and say, let's start with Srinivas, and then let's go to Sai, and then let's go to Pankaj, so on and so forth. And everybody continues on a particular story, and everybody gets to speak for a minute. You may have started in Amsterdam, suddenly you realize that you are in outer space. So there are various ways of coming up with interesting topics. There, you just look around and you're able to come up with those topics. Or even if you could research, or if you could just look up and see how those improv artists do it, the improv artists, and you could go and take 1 or 2 of, you could borrow something from there and try it in your Toastmasters club. That would bring up a completely different angle to table topics. So just be creative, try and do things, just take the risk, I would say. Like they said, it was Les Brown, I think, who said, if you're not willing to risk, you will not grow. If you don't grow, you can't be your best. If you can't be your best, you cannot be happy. And if you cannot be happy, what else is there? So take the risk. With risk, you will grow. Sometimes you will fall flat on your face. Otherwise, you will be commended for being a wonderful table topic master, having come up with something very unique. So go out and try it. And then time will tell. Yes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mathew. We've come to the end of the session. Thank you very much.
Sanjeev, you aren't audible.
So thank you, everybody. Mathew, firstly, thank you very much. That was a great session, and I'm sure we all have taken a lot of interest from that. And the next time when we take up table topics role, or we approach the table topics, we will keep all this in mind, and we will come up with a different approach. I posted the feedback form on the chat, so everybody please go ahead and give your feedback on the session and what else you would like to see on Wednesday Wisdom. We will be taking a couple of weeks break because of Diwali, and then we will reconvene back and we will share the details of the next upcoming sessions on Wednesday Wisdom. So watch out for that. With that, thank you very much and wish you all a very happy Diwali and hope to see you all soon. Thank you.
Sanjeev, can I just take a minute?
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah, Sharmin, you asked about one question about not being able to get the topics. I think it was Parul or Sharmin who asked. I'll tell you one thing, even though we may be as much as we may be trying on a daily basis to do it, even I have to sit down today and every week try to condense. I create these one minute videos that I put on my Instagram handle, which is Mathew Verg. And I think as much as you may do table topic, it's still not easy to come up with these 1 minute videos. You need to research and you need to condense it all to be able to fit in 1 minute. Take a story. I think it was Sunita who just mentioned that she bought a coin in one of the meetings and asked people to go back in time and then speak on that. That's a brilliant idea. So what I would like to tell you, Charmin and Parul, to answer to your question is, you don't grow in you don't grow in meetings necessarily. What happens? Your growth happens between meetings. What you do after your last meeting until your next meeting outside your club is a good, it's a good way for you to measure your growth. So I do that every week. Even though I attend my meetings as much as I can, I go out and put content on Instagram. So if you want to follow me there, you could always follow me there and see, because there are these 1 minute videos and it's not easy to come up with those things. But that's what we are doing, because at Toastmasters, we don't believe in just performing in Toastmasters. We believe that we need to take the learnings of Toastmasters to outside the club, to our community, to the people who have to hear it. And accordingly, we will, grow and help others grow. Yeah, Parul says that. Parul, I'll share that right now. I'll do it right now, Parul, definitely. Yeah, over to you, Srinivas. Thank you again for the opportunity. I really appreciate that. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience. It was a pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for joining.